for watching SHEM Ministries. Souls honoring Elohim's mandate. And now for today's message.
Well, hello. Welcome to SHEM Ministries. That is Souls Honoring Elohim's Mandate. And tonight is our SHEM 2 night. That is a spiritual, healthy, enlightening mandate ministry. And I am the one and only, glory be to God, evangelist, prophetess Anna Shaw Devlin. I am also Dr. Anna Shaw Devlin, a family nurse practitioner that loves, number one, God. Number two, everything that God allows me to do to glorify Him. And one of those things happens to be teaching and educating His people. His people meaning not just those who acknowledge Him, but remember, the Bible tells us in Genesis that everything God created was good. So, you don't know when their road to Damascus may occur. You can be feeding someone who appears to be headed down the wrong road, the wrong path. So are you to say, I'm not wasting my time on that person because they are going in the wrong direction? Or do you go ahead and feed them, knowing or not knowing exactly when the minute or the hour may occur that they may say, you know what? I'm tired of going down the wrong road. I'm going to turn around. And before you know it, because of the fact that they went through so much just to make that decision, guess what they do? They end up passing you. Glory be to God. Those of you that watch the Kentucky Derby, did that horse that was in the rear, the horse that was, all I know, I didn't see it, but I did see the news in regards to them talking about how the last horse in that race, the Kentucky Derby, ended up passing everybody and winning the race. So if a horse can do that, why can't we? So don't count out the person who looks like they ain't gonna never turn and go in the right direction. They won't. I'm not gonna I ain't got time to be wasting my time on people that don't want to hear, don't want to listen, whatever. Guess what? If the Spirit of the living God tells you to speak to them, you speak to them. Because only God sees and knows the heart of that man at the moment you speak. And it may be that very thing that you say to them that may turn them around. Now, will they make a gesture or will they change their facial expression so that, because that's what we look for, right? We look for to know if someone receives what we're saying. But guess what? You may not never know until you see the change take place in their lives. I don't know how I got on that right there, because is that what we're going to talk about tonight? Those of you that saw the header. But guess what? If you know me, you know I'm bought with a price. You know that I'm only an empty vessel, and I speak whatever the Lord tells me to speak, whether it makes sense to you or not. That's right. You may be like, where in the world is she coming from? Where is she going with that? One soul. One soul. That's all is required. So tonight, let's have a word of prayer. And I do want you to know that the topic is autoimmunity. We're talking about autoimmune disorders again tonight. And the header is, are you in park, reverse, neutral, or drive? And this came from, or stemmed from, our lecture a couple of weeks ago that asked the question, where did you stem from? And we were talking about blood cells, the fact that they come from our bone marrow, and how in Ezekiel, God told him to prophesy to the valley of dry bones, and let's see, can they live again? So we're speaking about you, your valley. Your bones may be dry and brittle, but I'm here to let you know they can live again. And if you have been afflicted in any way with any type of autoimmune disorder, you can, because what do you do before you change a gear in a car? You step on the brake and you change gears. You can either park, you can go into reverse, which would be when that autoimmune disorder decides to go in remission. Or you can be neutral. You can stand still and wait where nothing is happening. There's no activity. There's no nothing. Because God has given man wisdom and knowledge of a new intervention. Maybe a new drug that the FDA hasn't approved yet that we don't know nothing about, that will fall in your lap. Take 3 doses. I didn't say you had to stay on it forever, but take 3 doses and be healed, delivered, and set free. So you're in neutral, waiting on the medication to come so that you can drive. Okay? I'm not crazy. There's just a method to my madness. And it came from heaven above, manna from heaven. To God be the glory. Dear Heavenly Father, we give you all the honor, the glory, the thanks, and the praise. Father, we thank you for this day, for this is the day that thou art made. And my God, I am exceedingly glad in it, Lord. I am so glad and thankful that you gave me another opportunity, Lord, to speak life into your people, Lord. Gave me an opportunity to let them know that there is hope where it seems that they are hopeless, that they are in a situation that cannot be repaired. But my God, I know that if you created man from the dirt, yes, God, if we came from dirt and we shall return to dirt, there is nothing that can happen from the beginning of your dirt ancestry to the ending of your dirt ancestry that my God cannot do, cannot fix, cannot regulate, cannot make straight, cannot restore, renew, and revive in you. You just have to have the faith to believe it. And my God, even until the day you die, don't give up believing God. Glory be to God, because I know without a shadow of doubt, even on your deathbed, God can bring you back. Glory be to God. Father, I thank you for how you showed me your power 25 years ago, where you brought my patient back to life before my eyes. A deeper depth in you occurred on that day, God. And because of that, there is nothing that I will not believe you to do. Oh, yes, Lord, I will speak. I will speak life. Whatever you say to every dead situation, and have the faith to believe it. Glory be to God. And I will teach others. I am a living testimony. I have seen. Glory be to God. Witnessed. Glory be to God. The miraculous works of him. Not in the Bible day, but here on earth. During my time, my life. And I thank you for it. Glory be to God. I so sorry. Whoo, Lord, you're going to have to help me. I'm telling you, y'all. This is not a playing time. I am not broadcasting for views. I am broadcasting for one soul. Just one. Glory be to God, to change the trajectory of their life just by hearing the truth. The truth. Because God needs a vessel to use. And if you toe up, broke down, barely have a voice because you smoked for 50 years, learn sign language. And still let God get the glory out of your life. All right. So let's go back really quick. And I just want to rehash just a couple of things about autoimmune diseases, right? I need you to know, statistically, the National Institute of Health estimates that 23.5 million persons, 8.5% of the population, have been diagnosed with one or more of the 29 most common. 29 most common and best studied autoimmune diseases. So there's 29 that are the most common that they have really studied. And the prevalence is considered to be rising. Now, this article was written, copyright was 2022, okay? So that was 3 years ago. So can you imagine? Can you imagine? All right. And the next thing I wanted to say to you was autoimmune disease is thought to encompass an array of 80 to 100 disorders with considerable variation in the body, system, organ affected, and associated morbidity. Morbidity is disease and mortality is death. Remember that, okay? So we started on last week talking about the most common. Do you remember what I told you the most common immune disorder was? Thyroiditis. It is the most common autoimmune disorder, okay, disease. And that encompasses, so thyroiditis can be one end of the spectrum to the other. You either have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is inflammation of the thyroid gland, or you may have Graves' disease, okay? Go back and review that lecture from last week because I want to move forward. I took the time and I told you the difference between the two. We talked about eyelid retraction and eye lag. And I was saying that with Graves' disease, that's usually because both have, there are some similarities in both Hashimoto's disease and Graves' disease. Both can be fatigue. You both can have weakness. The one main difference is sleep disturbance, right? In Graves' disease, you can't sleep. You are so hyped up, you can't sleep. In Hashimoto's, all you can do is sleep. That's major, right? That's major. And if you are a woman of childbearing age, one of the first things they're going to do is rule out pregnancy. Okay. Your body is havoc and crazy, whatever. When was your last menstrual period? Are you pregnant? Okay, you're not pregnant, so let's move on, right? Now, I will say this. And I told you I was going to tell my personal testimony about thyroid disease. And I am going to get to that. So I'm going to move a little quickly through this information so that I can get to my testimony and I can tell you the miraculous work that God did for me. Okay. And so depression, mental, psychiatry, right? If you look at mental health with thyroid disease, the person that has hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's, pretty much depression is their issue. Now, there's an emotional instability with Graves' disease. They are definitely not feeling depressed. They are so hyped up. They're anxious. They're nervous. It's the opposite. Okay. Now, metabolic wise, in Hashimoto's, there's weight gain. In Graves, there is weight loss. Okay. There's cold intolerance in Hashimoto's and there's heat intolerance in Graves' disease. It's totally opposite, right? So, hair loss can occur in both. Okay. They can have thick, brittle nails in hypo. There's just so many little whatever different things. Heart-wise, slow pulse, fast pulse, opposite stuff. Lung-wise, slow, shallow respirations versus shorter breath, right? Let's see. There is, digestive. Let's not forget that. Because I'm going to tell you, that's one of the times that, I say, you know what? I got a little bit of slow GI movement going on here. I hadn't had my TSH, thyroid test, thyroid stimulating hormone checked in a while. I'm going to get mine checked, okay? I've had this disorder or disease for the last 31 years, okay? So we know the deal, okay? So with Hashimoto's, if you're not regulated, you are having issues with constipation. And it's not constipation-induced food or iron supplements or anything such as that. With Graves' disease, you may have diarrhea. You may have vomiting, abdominal pain, increased appetite. You can't, eat enough, right? Easy bruising can happen with both. Let's see. Reproductive wise, there are some issues there that are really pretty much similar. Irregular periods, things such as that. There's an increased rate of miscarriage in both. Stillbirth and fetal death in hypothyroidism. All right. Now, the last thing is eyes. So you may have some dry eyes or whatever with hypo, but the main thing, let me show you this right here. Let me show you this picture because this is exophthalmos, which is seen in Graves' disease. Remember when I said that there is retraction of the upper eyelid so that the eyes kind of bulge? That is it. All right. And so an eye exam is an integral part of a diagnosis of Graves' disease. And exophthalmos is a hallmark characteristics. Often the first sign, because people ignore, I'm too much caffeine, I'm, and whatever, I'm going through menopause, I'm having hot flashes, and actually, you may be experiencing Graves' disease and not realize it until you see these eye changes here, right? And it's periorbital edema and limited eye movements. So the retraction of the eyelid is actually restricting movement of the eye. So you may have increased tearing, you may have gritty sensation in the eye because they're drying out. You're not blinking enough to lubricate the eye. Eye discomfort and pain, maybe some redness, this, that, and the other. That is a signal of, the eyes are just not, things are not happening like they need to happen. Okay, now, this is what, and I'm going to go back to me as I talk about this, okay? Let's talk about Hashimoto's disease without hypothyroidism. Okay, just listen. Individuals who have Hashimoto disease without hypothyroidism, which means you have a goiter, which is a signal that something ain't right, but you have a normal TSH level. Treatment is not required for individuals who are asymptomatic, right? And have a small goiter. However, many endocrinologists, because endocrinologists, these are the people who study hormones, endocrine system, hormone related stuff, all right? They do prescribe levothyroxine for patients with a goiter, even if the level of TSH is normal, with a goal of decreasing the size of the goiter. So you may have to be monitored closely, but I'm going to tell you now the reason I took the time to say that. Do not be fooled by a normal TSH level. Okay? So I did a talk a while back. I wish I didn't take the time to write the date down, but we did talk about thyroid disease a lot. We talked about the biopsy and all of that stuff. And maybe next week I can research and give you the date so you can go back and look at that lecture. But I have one life to live. If there's too many providers out here for you to suffer in a situation for years and develop complications that could have been avoided if you only had one individual that was willing to listen to you. Okay? I believe I didn't have a goiter, but I believe I was getting sick a long time before the actual diagnosis came. But by the time I found someone, oh my gosh, it is, look, I got PTSD about the situation. I'm just going to tell you the truth. The weight gain, all that I had gone through, you exercising and still gaining weight. You are watching what you eat, still gaining weight. Finally started losing some weight, and then I got pregnant. Which, remember what we said about the hormones. So you got the FSH and you got all these female hormone things going on in your body, and bloop, bloop, an egg was released, and yeah, you're married and you had sex and you get pregnant, and oh my gosh, right? So now you're pregnant. And so all these things that, the symptoms, oh, you're pregnant. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. So the long story short of it is this. By the time I received a diagnosis, it was after my 9 months of pregnancy. I had the baby. I'm out of work on maternity leave, and there aren't any excuses left. There was nothing for you to blame what was going on in my body because I wasn't working. All of this stuff. And let me tell you about postpartum depression. Whoo, Jesus. So if depression is a part of hypothyroidism, and there's something called postpartum depression, can you imagine a diagnosis of severe hypothyroidism right after you have a baby? Woo! To God be the glory. I lived and I survived. Glory be to God. I know without a shadow of doubt that the hand of God was on my life and the life of my unborn child. That's right. Because now let me tell you really all the things about hypothyroidism during pregnancy. And last week I want to say this one more time. I did tell you about an antibody test called antithyroid peroxidase antibodies. I'm not sure back then, 31 years ago, that it was readily available to test for antibodies, but after my thyroid gland was attacked, I had to have had some antibodies, right? The antibodies will show up before the TSH actually starts to go up, that the thyroid gland stops, the hormones aren't produced like they need to be. And let's see, I just wanted you to know that. So the TSH target recommended by the AACE, and that's the American Academy of, I think it's the AACE, DAG. Yeah, that's it. I had it right. American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists. Sorry. Okay. So they say that a normal range of a third generation TSH assay is between 0.45 and 4.12 and the level should be determined every 6 to 8 weeks until the target has been reached. Okay. All right. So did you hear what I just said? 4.12. All right. Do you want me to tell you what my TSH level was when I was diagnosed? 77. Now, back then, sevens didn't kind of mean as much to me as they do. Well, they definitely didn't mean much to me then as they do now. So when I think back on it, right? 7 lets me know that God was with me the whole time and I didn't even realize it. Because now I'm going to tell you, that's where I was when I was diagnosed. Now let's talk about hypothyroidism during pregnancy. And I'm going to say to you, many times, it's not about you, but it's about the seed that you're carrying. It's about, I'm going to kill the mama and the baby. And I've had this happen to me more than once in my lifetime. I got 3 children, and there have been attacks to destroy us both each pregnancy. Okay? But we all still here. We still here. Oh, yes. So, hypothyroidism during pregnancy, even if it's mild, during pregnancy can have serious adverse effects for both the mother, which would be hypertension, preeclampsia, postpartum hemorrhage. What? You mean to tell me alone, that could have happened to me? Remember now, my TSH was 77. The high norm is 4.12. Okay? I was 77. And in regards, and this is mild now. This didn't say nothing about severe. And the fetus, which is the baby, spontaneous abortion, which means the child abortion happened spontaneously on its own. Spontaneous abortion is a miscarriage. That's what that is, okay? Fetal death, die in utero, die in the womb, or stillbirth, born dead. What? Low birth weight, and abnormal brain development. Okay, so for those of you who know my son, glory be to God. Woo! He wrote a book last year. He is an ordained minister. He's one of those people, actually, his grandma would tell you. He said, Grandma, knowledge is not always meant to be shared. Because Grandma said, I didn't know you read all those books, and I didn't know you did all of this, and I didn't know you could. We didn't even know the boy was reading, okay? He would be in his room, and we did not know he was studying God's word. Had no clue. He kept it to himself. So when I found out about my thyroid disease, the guilt, because I don't know if you heard me tell the testimony about how when he was a little boy, I took him to the psychiatrist to get him tested. I knew there was something wrong with that boy. Woo! I knew there was something wrong. He didn't want to do his schoolwork. He didn't whatever. Oh, it was just, I knew there was something wrong. And I thought he was ADD, ADHD. I didn't know. I even had him on medication. I put him on Strattera. Oh my God. And it didn't help him. So I took him to a psychiatrist, and I paid over $300 out of my pocket, copay or whatever it was, because insurance didn't pay for it, to get him tested. It was a 2-part test. Guess what? I wasted my money. The psychiatrist, and I actually have the report upstairs somewhere. The psychiatrist told me, there's nothing wrong with your son. Huh? There ain't nothing wrong with him. He said, nope. He recommended that there was a game called Sims that, just to kind of whatever him, but he said, ain't nothing wrong with him. He passed the test. I paid $300. Remember now, 7 and 3s meant a lot to me today. But back then, so a 77 TSH level, $300 I spent to get the boy tested. God had his hand on both of us the whole time. There wasn't nothing wrong with him. Okay? So there is a possibility of having abnormal brain development, and that's in mild hypothyroidism during pregnancy. The AACE states that pregnant women who have or have had positive level of serum antibody test, that TPOAB, and with a TSH greater than 2.5, should be treated with levothyroxine. Well, 2.5, I was 77. Wow. But of course, I never got a test. I didn't get tested until after all the potential things went away. Okay? I'm telling you my testimony because you have to be insistent. If the doctor says your insurance won't pay for the thyroid test, guess what you do? Pay for it yourself. If you gotta get a what is it called? A GoFund or whatever, do it. I tell you what, tell everybody for your birthday this year, I want $10 a piece or $20 a piece from everybody. Take that $20 and pay for the test. It's worth it. Okay? I'm telling you. Because it took me forever to get regulated. It took me forever to figure out the things that I know today about taking the levothyroxine the same time every day on an empty stomach, not within 4 hours of minerals and vitamins, not with a PPI such as Protonix or Pepsid. The things that I know today that caused me a lot of pain and suffering, I'm telling you, okay? And it says, particularly when there is a history of miscarriage or hypothyroidism, like in the family. So this is one thing, but get what? I'm the only one that's got hypothyroidism. So I don't know. It's just me, okay? That I know of, okay? That I know of. Because, my grandmothers especially, died young, and there could have been some things that we didn't know, okay? So levels greater than 2.5 who are not being treated with levothyroxine should be monitored every 4 weeks. In the first 20 weeks of pregnancy for the development of hypothyroidism. The first 20 weeks, which is the half of the pregnancy, 40 weeks, okay? Thyroid function should be monitored every 4 weeks during the first half of pregnancy and at least once every 26 to 32 weeks gestation to ensure that the requirement for levothyroxine has not changed. So just because they put you on it doesn't mean that the growing baby, the needs that the mother and the child may not require a dose adjustment. Okay. And the dose of thyroxine should be adjusted accordingly. Some clinicians may prefer to continue regular monitoring throughout gestation. The upper limit of the normal range should be based on trimester-specific ranges for that laboratory. If ranges are not available in the laboratory, the following TSH recommendations exist. So during the first trimester, 2.5, second trimester, 3.0, and third trimester, 3.5. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you in regards to hypothyroidism. And hypothyroidism is, out of the two, thyroiditis is, right, the most common. And Graves' disease, like I said, is hyper. Treatment can be radioactive, iodine. They can put you on a medication that's an anti-thyroid drugs. Methimazole is the most common one. Methimazole and profilthyroxine. I do apologize. That one has always been hard for me. I always put people on methimazole myself. It's a whole lot easier to say. Okay? And so I'm not going to spend more time on that. I just need you to know. And if a goiter and this, that, and the other, sometimes they may do what's called a thyroidectomy. They may remove the thyroid gland. And so there's treatments. or that we talked about. You could treat. I've not heard too much of hyperthyroidism during pregnancy, but it can occur, and then there's different treatments. Okay, all right. So that was thyroid disease. Now there's many. Let's pull this up. Let me see. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Autoimmunity. Now, this is what I want to go back and drive about thyroiditis. So, and I'm going to use myself as a living testimony. So when I said autoimmunity, we don't know why the thyroid gland was attacked. Okay. And even, I didn't even put it up, but I did mention last week that even type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder. That's even more common, right? So what's going on in the body that causes the body to attack itself? The immune system that God created to keep us safe and keep us healthy, to fight off infections and this, that, and the other. The wires got twisted and just went haywire on us. So remember me saying to you, we talked about stem cells, right? Let me bring up the stem cells. Now, if you look at the stem cells and you see that one stem cell comes out of the bone marrow, can turn into all of these cells here. Epithelial cells, the red blood cells, even fat cells. So if we got stem cells in our bone marrow, that there's a tendency for fat cell production in our bone marrow, in the stem cell called genetic DNA. Are you telling me that's why everybody in that family obese or potential to be obese? But did I not tell you? Auto is like driving a car. So you mean to tell me that you can turn some of this stuff off by pumping the brake? You can park? You can reverse? You can stay in neutral? And you can drive. So, if you know there's a potential, and that's the significance of knowing your history, knowing your family history. And if you were not privy to family history, you can change the trajectory of your family's lives now by taking advantage of the advancements in technology. So you mean to tell me I can get DNA testing done? I can do the ancestry, DNA, and all of that other stuff. And I can find out what's in my DNA and share that information with my children and my grandchildren, my cousins, and that pump the brakes. We all know to reverse, drive in reverse. Drive in reverse means get out of there as fast as you can. Don't go reverse slow, go fast. Driving in reverse means get out of there as fast as you can. You have that ability with knowledge and understanding of the human body, your family history, knowing that you don't have to sit there and let things come to you just because it's in your DNA. Guess what? I am a living testimony. I knew my grandmothers, both of them were diabetics. my my mother and father are both diabetics. I struggle, but I'm not overtly diabetic. I identified pre-diabetes and I treated it. Now, I do, every now and then I might eat some Oreos. I might eat, the Lord bless me and keepeth thee with the hedge he put around me with being severely lactose intolerant. Because that hedge is a hedge of protection. He fixed it where I could not eat certain things to keep me healthy. And he also knew that I would share that knowledge with you. Okay? So look at these cells that stem from our bone marrow. We're going to talk about myasthenia gravis. We're going to talk about multiple sclerosis. And you will know that the muscle, right? That look above the fat cell, right? You will look at these enterocytes and you will look at the epithelial and you will look at the neurons and you will see that how these cells play a part in these autoimmune disorders that we are going to discuss. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you this image because I believe that we be doing, there's a certain percentage, a component of stress. Stress. The roles that we play in our lives. That, let me see. Okay, so you're driving your car, right? And you see the check engine light come on. And you say, oh, I ain't got too much farther to go. I'll be okay. I'm going to keep on driving. Well, how long that check engine light been on? And then all of a sudden your car breaks down. And the mechanic says to you, I cannot repair your motor. You're going to have to replace the motor. Now, when you had an opportunity to repair, you chose to keep driving. You knew the check engine light was on and you kept driving. So now, a repair that might have cost you $450 is now going to cost you $4,500 because now you got to replace the motor when all you had to do was repair the motor. So stress in our lives, and the reason I put this picture up here, all right, and I'm going to, let me get rid of this here. Let me see. How am I going? Okay, well, I wanted to kind of show myself. Okay, well, I don't have the right whatever. I was going to talk to you at the same time. Show my face. So the reason I put this lady right here, up here, because get what? Sunday is Mother's Day. Yep. Sunday is Mother's Day. And if you are blessed to still have your mother, and even if you don't have your mother, you can reflect on how hard your mama worked. Glory be to God. 2 and 3 jobs. Came home and cooked, sewed, made sure your homework was done, got you up for school the next day, made sure that you didn't go lacking. You see the cape that she wore? She was a superwoman. Superwoman. How much of that superwoman caused her to ignore The check engine light. How much? How much? How much? So the car is driving. I mean, driving. And really and truly, she needs to park. And just sit in neutral for a while. Or she needs to park and drive in reverse, go back and take care of herself, which would be repairing the motor, instead of allowing the motor to blow up and have to be replaced. But guess what? There's only one mama. And when mama's gone, mama's gone. You got one mama. And I'm using this autoimmunity to also say that how much of some of what we are afflicted with, that stress itself is not the precursor. So when you are cooking on the stove, the heat, the fire, if you turn up the fire, if you got a gas stove, or if you have an electric stove and you turn you dial it up a little higher so that more heat, added stress on an already stressed body, immune system, could that cause an autoimmune disorder, disease to develop or to flare up? So when we talk about myasthenia gravis, we talk about rheumatoid arthritis on next week, and we're going to talk about multiple sclerosis. So next week we're going to talk about multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, and myasthenia gravis. And we're going to talk about the precipitating factors. We're going to talk about the waxing and waning of a disorder. Some there's treatment, there's treatment, but no cure. And there are people who remain in remission for many, many years, right? I'm going to say this about myself, since we're talking about thyroid disease. I was told by an endocrinologist, because I have wax and wane with a goiter. I told y'all the story about how I had a goiter, and then I went back and the goiter was gone. And I was like, what? That thing shriveled up? Really? Don't tell me what my God can and can't do. Okay? And the endocrinologist at that time, I was probably about 7-10 years from menopause, right? And they told me, and I thank God that he'll set you up and he'll put you in the right place at the right time, because they educated me and told me that I had been on the same dose of Synthroid, which is the trade name for levothyroxine. I had been on that same dose for at least probably 20 years, right? 18 years at least. And 18 to 20 years. And they told me, they said that now as you get closer to menopause, your dose is going to have to be reduced. I said, really? Because I ain't letting nobody change my Synthroid. But they educated me and told me why, because of the hormones, right, involved in the thyroid, how it affects this, that, and the other, and that my body would not need as much, and because I was no longer menstruating, and and whatever. So I'm thankful for that information, because I reduced my dose like 4 times at least since then. And so now I'm stable, on the same dose, but it's you gotta know what it takes to maintain a healthy you. And I accepted the fact that I will take that medication until the Lord heals me. I believe God will heal me one day. Oh yeah, I do. But until that day comes, I'm gonna take my medicine. Okay? So what I have allowed was, and this is what I'm using me as an example. Follow me. I took my Synthroid every day. And when I had too much medicine, they cut my dose back. So I was still getting too much, they cut my dose back. Getting too much, they cut my dose back. Okay? Let's take my attitude about my thyroid disease and my medication, and let's make it applicable to your diabetes and your hypertension or your high cholesterol. Okay? I don't want to be on that medicine. I don't need that medicine. Take the medicine. And if you take it, this is what I don't get. Take the medication consistently from the time that you go see your doctor, consistently now to the time you go back. And let the doctor say you don't need that much anymore. And then they cut the dose in half. Okay? You still taking it. You're taking it consistently. And then when you go back, they say, let's cut the dose in half again. So you done went from 20 milligrams to 10 milligrams to 5 milligrams to 2.5 milligrams. Guess what comes after 2.5? You don't need it anymore. So the lifestyle changes, the this, that, and the other, right? They worked. But you won't give your body time to heal itself because you are waxing and I'm going to take it. I ain't going to take it. I'm going to take it. I ain't going to take it. Your body is saying, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to regulate things here. I need help. It's kind of like, you're trying to clean the house and it's too much house to clean. You appreciate the help, but the help only comes every now and then. So the time that the help ain't there, you have to work twice as hard to do what you and the help were doing together. Because you're this. I'm this and I'm that. Okay? Consistently allow the body to heal and repair itself while you got help. And let the dose cut in half, cut in half, cut in half until it's gone. Yes, we're talking about autoimmune. But I'm also telling you that even in autoimmunity, we create, uncontrolled this, that, and the other. These are things we do have control over. Is it not like an autoimmune thing? Because your body is going to do everything it can to heal and repair itself, even if you overwork it and turn up even more. Okay? All right. Well, this is Dr. Anna Shaw, S-H-A-W, Devlin, D-E-V-L-I-N, D-E-V-L-I-N. Yes. Dr. Anna Shaw Devlin of Ask Anna, PLLC, a part of SHEM Ministries. This is our SHEM tonight. A spiritually healthy, enlightening mandate ministry. I am still speaking regarding the subject of SHEM, STEM. Where did you stem from? Please go to the book of Ezekiel. I think it's the 17th chapter. And read. Read how God told Ezekiel to prophesy to the valley of dry bones. And that was an army that rose up. So if you can prophesy to the dead things in your body that stemmed in your bone marrow. We talked on last week about how every 10 years your body regenerates itself. So, if you are 40 or 39, getting ready to turn 40, 49, getting ready to turn 50, 59, getting ready to turn 60, and so on and so on and so on, I suggest and recommend to you, we talked about the lifeline, how long certain blood cells lived, right? I suggest that you prophesy to those stem cells. Stop reproducing abnormality. Heal yourself. Restore life deep down in your marrow. Change the trajectory of your health. Yes. Where you used to produce abnormal cells, now you're going to produce normal cells. They're not going to be sickled anymore for those of you that have sickle cell disease. Your cells, the red blood cells, they won't get sickled. They are now biconcave because you prophesied to them and told them, stand up, stand up, and salute the Lord thy God, and he will heal thee. Glory be to God. To God be the glory. I pray my strength will always be with he. Yes, not man, but with he, the Lord thy God. To God be the glory. God bless each and every one. We love you, love you, love you. Happy Mother's Day. And for those of you, the mama that's wearing that cape, the superwoman mama that you are blessed to have, how about lighten her load? How about do something for her, not just on Mother's Day. Make a commitment. Once a month, Ma, I'm going to come and do this for you. Once a month, Ma, I'm going to take this burden off for you. Mama, I know you pray for me night and day. I know that you lose sleep praying for me. So I'm going to change my life. Take that burden off for you and allow you to get some sleep. That's right. That's right. Don't wait until she dead and gone and say, I woulda, coulda, shoulda. She gone now. I'm going to do those things that she wanted me to do. Why are you going to wait until she... Why are you going to wait until she dead and gone to change? Change now while she in the land of the living so that she can rejoice and see All right, sorry. All right, God bless you. Love you. All right, Pastor Devlin will be with you on Sunday. It is Mother's Day coming up. All right, adios, amigos. Have a blessed night, evening, and a restful night's sleep. God bless.